Hello! Welcome back to my channel, and this is still your introvert Gail. For those who have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe, and for those who have already subscribed, thank you very much. Let me introduce myself to the first timers here. My name is Introvert Gail, and all my vlogs are mostly all about nursing vlogs and my life here in Australia. So welcome. And first of all, I would like to shout out few people who have touched again my heart with their comments and suggestions. Shout out to you, Akalisa Romera and Maki Lozada. Thank you for your comments. And also for these two people who have messaged me in my Facebook page, which is Introvert Gail, I would like to shout out Gurpreet Kaur and Renaline Katada. Thank you guys for messaging me in my Facebook page. I hope that I've helped you with your queries and questions, and this video is for you guys as well who have been wondering what is the conversion course like here. So like what I've mentioned in my previous blog, there are only two ways on how you become registered nurse here in Australia if you're already registered nurse in other countries. So without further ado, I would introduce to you my topic. My topic today is how to become registered nurse in Australia with a conversion course. Now, I am speaking in English so that everyone can understand, and a lot of you have been requesting to do a video or a conversion course in English version. So I will try my best. I will try my really best to speak to you guys in English, and I hope that my pronunciation, my accent, with all my accent and all, you'll be able to understand. To start this video, I would like you to know what the conversion course means. So it's a course that will help these internationally qualified nurses, which means they are already registered nurse in their country, to convert their registration or their license to an Australian registration. So this internationally qualified who met the criteria may seek registration within Australia once they have successfully completed the course or the program. So basically, once you finish this course, you will be able to be a registered nurse here in Australia. What should you expect when you're doing this course? Let's start with the requirements. Number one requirements that I could say is that you have to have your English test. I think before you go into doing this course, this is the first step. This is always the first step on how you can apply for this course. English test. There are lots of English tests like what I've mentioned in my previous blog. There are IELTS, OET, TOEFL, and PTE. So those are 4 English tests that you could take so that you get into a university. But mind you, different schools have different requirements. For an instance, some school requires an IELTS of all band 7. That's the score. You should have a minimum 7 in all bands. Like your writing should be 7, your listening should be 7, your reading should be 7, and your speaking should be 7. Some schools, they accept students who have like 6.5 in their IELTS for an instance. So for an instance, in my school here in Western Australia, they were accepting 6.5 grade before. Number one, you have to know which state are you going into. So of course, you have to consider, am I going to New South Wales? Am I going to Western Australia? To Southern Australia? You have to know which schools are you going into. And once you know the schools and you aim for a school or a university, then that's the time you'll be able to know what their requirements. When you choose a school, you also have to choose which course are you gonna take up. There are, as far as I know, there are always 2 options. You can take a 1-year course or a 2-year course. There are pros and cons of this taking 1 year and 2 years course. For 1 year, I could just briefly tell you that you are allowed to stay in the country. So you are allowed to stay in this country and get a bonus, like 3 months bonus of your visa. So for an instance, 1 year visa plus 3 months after your visa ends. If that makes sense? For a 2 years course, you are allowed to stay longer than 2 years. So you are allowed to stay, like for example, your visa is 2 years, right? You are allowed to stay like another year, and you could apply for another visa straight away when you do your 2 years course. I might try to explain it to my next videos. Very complicated anyway. So it's mostly about the visa, and also that's only the main difference. But I would like to tell you that once you are registered in your country as a registered nurse, I mean your school is accredited by Australia, then I think you have the option to do a 1 year or 2 years course. Number 2, for the requirements, you have to have your documents ready. What do I mean by documents? Documents such as the transcript of record or the TOR, that is your grades in school and your diploma, your certificate of employment. In short, school or the university will give you the requirement, and part of the document is the English test as well. So first is English test, and second is your documents or all your papers that you have to submit. My number 3 requirement is of course the tuition fee and extra fees. What do I mean by the tuition fee? So for those of you who have been asking about the tuition fee, of course it varies with the university that you're going into. And in my instance, my first semester during that time, 2016, was like 11,000 grand or 11 grand, I mean. But you only have to usually pay upfront your first semester, and the second semester you could pay it later, and you could also pay it installment. So some schools do that, some don't, so it depends still on your school. Another thing is that I was assisted by an education agency, which is AMS in the Philippines. AMS Global is located in Makati. Also, I think they have some branches. These education agencies are really important because they don't require you to pay them, but they give their service for free for you to be able to be accepted in schools. So I had my school letter of offer, then I have to pay, and then confirmation, and then went on to visa. Visa, of course, you have to pay it by yourself as well. Those are the extra fees that I am telling you. So mind you, by the way, when you're doing your visa application, part of visa application is the health examination. Then once approved, you can now go to Australia. So with the health examinations, of course, it's another cost, and also it depends on the medical clinics or the facility that you're going into. So that's basically all for my requirements. You just have to do an English test, you just have to ready your documents, and you just have to pay the tuition fee, and then get your visa and go here in Australia. Once you have an education agency, I think that could be easier for you guys. Let's talk about the assignments. I can tell you the assignments or passing score for exam assignments also depends on your school. In my university, the passing rate is 50%. So when you get a grade of 50 over 100, and that's okay, you pass it. So usually it's an essay type or research type, which I am not really good at, unfortunately. In a whole semester, you will be able to know all your assignments already for the whole semester, because they have their own calendars anyways. Most of them does have the calendars, so you'll be able to know. Number 1, it's good because you can plan ahead and organize and make your timetable. But number 2, it's quite bad for you if you will get rattled because you become more anxious that you have an assignments coming up. But my advice to you guys, it's only always time management. Have a calendar. Like for me, I have put a calendar and then put all my assignments when is it due. And then, so my advice is, do not do it in one sitting. Do it like you're placing or putting money in the bank. What do I mean by that? So for an instance, you have 1,000 word assignment, or the required words is 1,000. Do 100 words every night. So times 10, for 10 nights, you'll be able to submit your assignment. So do it ahead of time and do not do it in one sitting. That's just my advice to you guys. My next advice for you for your assignments is that you go to the library as often as possible. If you're like an old school like me, I normally go to library because most of your assignments should be coming from a research, a book, and for essays here, you shouldn't be giving it on your own words. Most of your assignments should be from a book, or you should have a resource for that. So if not, there is always an online library provided by the school. I believe most of the school have that here. Avoid copy paste. They always have tools to know if you are doing plagiarism. They are very strict with plagiarism here. By the way, just to encourage you guys, not to discourage, I remember I failed my first assignment because lesson learned, I did not know what they're asking for. So the question and my answers or my essay is not really targeting the question, or is not really answering the question. So my advice to you, better understand what the question is, and so that you won't fail your first assignment like what I did. But anyways, that's to encourage you guys that if I failed my first assignment and I have succeeded my conversion course, then you can do it as well. Now, let's talk about the classroom or the class. Each subject has a designated classroom. So you don't do it like in one classroom, all your subjects and all those stuff. So same as the other universities anyway. So basically, it's flexible. You could go to different professor with another time slot. I have experienced that. But of course, like what I've told you, it depends on your university. Not all universities or not all professors will allow you to do that. I would say most of my classes were mostly interactive, and you will always be given the chance to study it online beforehand before you go to a face-to-face interactive class. They don't normally have breaks, by the way, in between class discussions. So if you're going to choose your subjects or classes, or your classes schedule something that is not close to each other, because you will end up not having lunch break for an instance, or if you have two classrooms that are far from each other, then you will end up being late for in the next class. So I would suggest that you really have to choose your subjects and choose your schedule wisely. Now, attendance. Let's talk about the attendance. In my university, attendance is not graded. So sometimes I get to miss my class, especially when I'm working. So since I was working while I was a student, of course, you have to support your studies in some way. So sometimes I have work, I tend to miss my class. Because anyways, it's not graded. So I don't really mind. But if it's graded, I would rather advise you to come into class. Then I will discuss is the practicum. So nursing practicum depends on your university if they will cut it into first semester and second semester. So in my university here in Western Australia, my first semester is a 4 weeks practicum in a hospital in one area only, and then my second semester is a 6 weeks practicum in one area in one hospital. So it depends on your university, especially when you're doing 2 years course. I was doing 1 year course before, that's why it was just divided into first semester and second semester. But my advice to you, one tip is that before you come here in Australia, please get vaccinated. Get vaccinated, Hep B, varicella, flu, measles, everything that you could think of, please get immunized. Otherwise, you have to get immunized here before you do your practicum. And that's quite a lot of money. I would say it's quite, if comparing to Philippines, it's of course more expensive to be vaccinated here rather than back home. But make sure when you get vaccinated in your hometown or in your country, make sure that you have your record with you. And also, one advice is for you to complete your paraphernalia when you go here in Australia. So it's just part of saving when you're like studying here, because once you complete your paraphernalia, like your nurse's watch or your stethoscope and all those stuff, just buy it from your country. I think you could save a lot from that one. They wanted closed shoes when you're doing your practicum. They wanted you to wear like block. The top should be coming from your school, to buy it from your university. Don't be scared to ask questions because they would love to hear your question. There is no dumb questions. And also, don't stress yourself because they won't be expecting much of you if you're a student here. The feeling that you were working back home already as a registered nurse and you wanted to show off, but sometimes they do things differently here. So it's better for you to learn and use the practicum as your learning guide. And so I think that's it. I think I have given you enough information. I hope with the conversion course it could be a little bit stressful because you're gonna do it for a year, but I could reassure you that it's enough adjustment period for you to be adjusted to the culture, adjusted to the place, adjusted to the weather. I believe you can do it, and don't give up, and just study hard and just focus. That's all. Focus on your goals and you'll be able to make it like what I did. Like what I said, I failed my first assignment, but look, I have finished the course even though. So thank you guys for watching. I hope it helped you a lot, and I hope that I will see you here in the future. And also, if you have comments, suggestions, questions, just comment down below, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. And also, if you have any suggestions of what should I explain next, or what should be my topic next, just comment down below as well. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good day. Bye.